The Blood War has been fought since before most gods existed, predating the first mortal kingdoms, older than the planes themselves, which have not always held the shape that modern cosmology assumes is permanent. Because the conflict between devils and demons is not a struggle with a beginning anyone remembers or an ending anyone expects. It is a condition of reality, an eternal grinding between two forms of evil that cannot coexist, cannot destroy each other, cannot stop trying. And if you played Baldur's Gate 3, you may have met someone who survived it, a tiefling named Karlach, who was one of the millions it consumed. This eternal struggle is not fought between good and evil, because neither side represents anything a mortal would call good. It is fought between order and chaos, wearing the masks of hell and the abyss, between devils who believe reality should be owned, and demons who believe reality should be unmade, between legions that keep records of every soul they harvest, and hordes that tear through existence without remembering what they destroyed yesterday. If the demons won, if the endless tide of the abyss finally broke through the defenses of the 9 hells and poured upward through the plains, reality would dissolve into chaos that does not end, a screaming unraveling of everything that holds form, because demons do not want to rule what they conquer. They want to spread, to corrupt, to multiply until nothing remains that is not also demon. If the devils won, if the legions of Beta finally scoured the abyss clean and turned their attention to the rest of existence, reality would calcify into a tyranny without appeal. Every soul catalogued and contracted, every choice monitored, every deviation punished. Because devils do not destroy what they conquer, they own it, forever. With the patience of creatures who measure time in eternities, the grinding continues because both outcomes are extinction. Battles rage across multiple fronts scattered through the lower planes, but the wound that never closes is Avernus, the first layer of the 9 hells, a blasted expanse of scorched rock and burning rivers where the sky itself bleeds red, where the ground remembers every conflict that has ever been fought on it, because the land does not heal, it accumulates. Avernus exists to absorb invasion. The river Styx cuts through it like a scar, carrying demons down from the abyss in waves that crash against infernal fortifications built and rebuilt across millennia, massive siege towers crawling across plains of ash, fortresses the size of castles grinding forward while devils marshal behind walls they know will fall, rise, fall again, because the geography of Avernus is not stable. It shifts with the conflict, strongholds appearing where they are needed, vanishing when they are overrun. The entire layer functioning as a buffer, designed to break against demonic pressure without breaking through. The commander who holds this line is Zariel. She was an angel once, but that was before she learned what the Blood War costs, before she decided the price was acceptable. Now she commands the defense of Avernus, with the fervor of someone who has been fighting the same enemy for longer than most civilizations have existed. A general who feeds mortal soldiers into the grinder because devils are too valuable to waste, who builds weapons out of souls because souls exist to be spent, who sees mercy as inefficiency and retreat as treason because she does not believe the conflict can be won, but only that it must be fought because the alternative is worse than eternity. Every battle in the Blood War feeds an infernal logistics system, a machine that converts captured souls into soldiers and contracts into leverage and territory into production, because devils do not conquer to destroy but to own, and ownership means extraction, counting what was taken, calculating what it cost, determining whether the exchange was profitable enough to repeat. When devils win a skirmish, they fortify, they build, they draw up contracts for the souls they captured, file those contracts in archives that will exist longer than the planes themselves, because nothing a devil takes is ever wasted, nothing is ever forgotten. Nothing is ever released without a price being paid. Demons do not fight the same war. They fight to spread, to rupture, to tear open whatever stands in front of them and pour through the wound into whatever lies beyond. Because demons are not trying to win the Blood War. They are trying to escape it, to push the battlefield outward until it touches everything, until the abyss stops being a place and becomes a condition that infects reality wherever it reaches. When demons win a skirmish, they do not fortify, they swarm forward. They leave the ground they just took undefended, because holding territory matters less than spreading, less than multiplication. If the devils retake that ground tomorrow, it does not matter because there will be more demons by then. There are always more demons. The abyss produces them faster than anything can kill them. One side builds a system that grows stronger with every soul it processes, while the other throws bodies into that system until something breaks, and both sides need what mortals provide. Devils cannot breed armies the way demons can. They do not spawn endlessly from the chaos of the abyss. They must manufacture their soldiers from mortal souls bound by contract, or captured in conquest, or traded by cultists who believe they are buying power when they are actually selling inventory. A soul that enters the 9 hells does not rest. It is processed, evaluated, assigned a value based on the sins it carried, the potential it holds, then converted into something useful. A lemur at first, a crawling thing of pain and hunger that remembers nothing of what it was. If it survives long enough, serves well enough, it may be promoted, reshaped, elevated through the infernal hierarchy, one agonizing transformation at a time, until it becomes something that can hold a weapon, follow an order, die on the fields of Avernus so that another can take its place. Demons use mortals differently, not for production, because the abyss generates demons without assistance, but for access, for entry points, for cracks in the barriers that keep the lower planes sealed away from everything else, which is why demon cults exist not to worship, but to open doors, to perform rituals that weaken the walls between planes, to invite possession, corruption, incursion, so that what lives in the abyss can push through into places it could not otherwise reach. Every city with enough desperation becomes a recruitment pool for one side or the other, and any mortal with enough ambition becomes a resource waiting to be spent. Karlach stood on the black iron plains of Avernus with an infernal heart burning where her real one used to be, watching demons break against the line while devils counted what it cost to keep her standing. Not a volunteer, but a transaction. One of the recruiters who feed the conflict from the material plane, a man named Gortash, sold her to Zariel, who did not see a person but material, a mortal body strong enough to survive modification, a soul desperate enough to fight without asking why, an asset worth the cost of installation because infernal hearts are not cheap to build, but they are cheaper than the devils this war is actually about. The burning core in her chest was not a gift, it was equipment, standard issue for mortal soldiers expected to survive conditions that would kill anything without augmentation. Hot enough to keep her functional on a battlefield where the air itself could melt flesh, the burning never stopped. It was not supposed to stop, because it was designed for Avernus, not for the material plane where her own body became fuel she could not stop consuming. 10 years she fought for a general who did not care if she survived past her usefulness. 10 years she killed demons because the alternative was dying, and dying in Avernus does not mean release. It means becoming raw material for the same system that sent her to the front. Karlach is not famous because she was powerful. She is famous because she escaped, carrying a heart that would burn her alive if no one found a way to fix it, marked by service she never chose in a war that does not acknowledge desertion. What the blood war does to the bodies it uses, she carries in her chest, not an exception, but a survivor, which in Avernus means an anomaly, because the system is not designed to produce survivors. It is designed to produce the dead who rise as more soldiers forever. And Karlach broke that loop by leaving, but the conflict did not let her go, because leaving Avernus does not end service, it relocates it. Zariel does not forget her assets. The infernal bureaucracy does not lose records. The contracts that bind mortal soldiers to the struggle do not dissolve just because the soldier found a way through a portal, which is how devils keep appearing in places that have nothing to do with the lower planes. How infernal agents walk through cities that believe themselves untouched by the blood war. How a tiefling with a burning heart cannot simply disappear into a new life without something eventually coming to collect what hell believes it is owed. Baldur's Gate is one of those cities, a place that has always attracted infernal attention, not because it is cursed, but because it is useful. A major port on the Sword Coast, where ambition concentrates and desperation pools, and people make decisions they would not make anywhere else. In the lower city, there is a curio shop called the Devil's Fee, where a dwarf named Helsik sells artifacts pulled straight from Avernus, blades that still smell of brimstone, and amulets that hum with infernal energy. And if you have enough coin, she will open a portal to hell itself from the back of her shop. Infernal contracts circulate through the noble houses of the upper city, signed by Petrias who believe they are buying influence when they are actually selling pieces of themselves one clause at a time, while cultists gather in basements across the lower city, and refugees from wars most people cannot name wash up on the docks, carrying debts they do not know how to pay. The Blood War is not fought in Baldur's Gate, but it is financed there, resourced there, fed by the souls, the choices, the quiet betrayals of people who will never see Avernus but whose lives bend toward it anyway, pulled by a gravity they cannot perceive until it is too late. Karlach escaped. Most do not.